Good morning, students. How are you all? I hope you all are doing fine. In the previous video, we were studying about the sexual reproduction and its stages in brief. From today, we will start the new topic, sexual reproduction in the flowering plants. So, all the flowering plants, we call them as angiosperms, show sexual reproduction. Flowers are the sites of sexual reproduction. So as we have seen that from the vegetative phase in the plants to reach the reproductive phase, there is a lot of changes that takes place. There is a several hormonal and structural changes which result in the differentiation and development of the floral primordium, so that the flower reaches to the reproductive phase. So structure of flower. A typical flower has two types, that is androecium and gynoecium. So what is androecium and gynoecium? So the typical flower, it is having the androecium. So androecium is nothing but the male reproductive organ and gynoecium is nothing but the female reproductive organ. So androecium, it is consisting of mainly the anther and a filament, and gynoecium, it consisting of stigma, style as well as the ovaries. So ovules, where the inside the ovaries the ovules are present, which we call it as megasporangia. So the whole part we call it as ovary. Okay, so these are the male androecium as well as gynoecium. So these are the two parts of the typical flower, androecium and gynoecium. So there are other parts of the flower also, but reproductive parts, as we consider, there are two parts, androecium and gynoecium. So in detail we will study what is androecium. So androecium, it is the male reproductive part of the flower. So it consists of a whorl of stamen. Their number and length are variable in different species. So flower you might have seen. So this androecium and gynoecium, in some flowers there will be many number of stamens, and the shape also it sometimes differs, and even the gynoecium also it differs in some structure. And the flowers are basically they attract the insects for pollination. So they are having different shapes and different morphological changes, but the parts will be remain same. So first we will study what is androecium. So androecium is nothing but it can be divided into filament as well as anther. We call it as stamen. So the androecium, so it is, we call it as stamen. So it is having the anther. So in that anther there is microsporangium producing the pollen grains, and there is a filament. So first, the part of the stamen, we will just study the simple part, that is filament. So what is filament? It is nothing but it is the long, slender like stalk like structure. Okay, so that you can see here, it is a slender or a stalk like structure. Its proximal end is attached to the thalamus or the petal of the flower. So you can see here the proximal end of all the stamens, they are attached to the thalamus or the petal of the flower. So thalamus it might be, or petal of the flower it may be attached. Okay, so when you take this section of the anther, how it is seen, that also you can observe. So we have seen the filament. So filament, there is nothing. So it is just a long slender like structure. So now we'll come to the main part, that is anther. So terminal and typically bilobed. Each lobe has two thecae, that is dithecous. See, in this chapter especially we will come up with a lot many important diagrams as well as lot many terms that may confuse you and that may be asked in your NEET as well as other competitive exams, and even they will be asked, the diagrams will be asked in boards also. Okay, so be concentrate and note down and understand the different terminologies that you come along. Okay, so see here, the terminal, that means the anther which is bilobed. Okay, you can see it is having the two lobes here. So if you see, it will be like this. So it will have two lobes like this, and the filament will be like this attached to the anther. So the terminal and typically bilobed, each lobe has two thecae, that means it is dithecous. Okay, so what is two thecae? Each lobe, when you consider, it is having again two thecae, that means two sacs it may be having. So that's why we call it as dithecous. Often a longitudinal groove runs lengthwise separating the theca. So you can see here, so there will be a longitudinal groove, okay, that will separate the theca. Okay, so these are the structure that you are studying, how the structure of the anther or the filament is there. Okay, so this is androecium. So transverse section of the anther. The anther is tetragonal structure consisting of 4 microsporangia located at corners, 2 in each lobe. The microsporangia develop to pollen sacs. They extend longitudinally all through the length of the anther and are packed with the pollen grains. So you can see here. So the anther. So you can see there are 4. You can see the 4 different sacs if you can make out. So the anther, which is tetragonal in structure, if you take a section, you can see there are 4. You can differentiate 4 sac like structure, we call it as microsporangia, right? So they further develop into pollen sacs. Okay, so anther, here you can see, so it will run longitudinally carrying the pollen grains inside when they develop. Okay, so when they mature, when they develop, go on developing, the pollen grains will develop. And how these pollen grains will develop inside it, that we will study in detail. So first you have to just know the structure, what all it is there. So you should know that the anther is tetragonal in structure. You can see tetra meaning 4. So tetragonal in structure, which is consisting of 4 microsporangia. So which is consisting of 4 microsporangia located at the corners and 2 in each lobe. So if you consider, this is one lobe and this is one other lobe. So 2 microsporangia are present in each lobe, right? So each lobe, the microsporangia, then later they develop into pollen grains and pollen sacs, and they extend longitudinally. As I said, they extend longitudinally along the length of the anther and are packed with the pollen grains when they develop. Okay, so how the pollen grains formed, that also we will study. So now we will study the structure of microsporangium. Okay, so in detail we will study from what kind of cells the microsporangium will form. Okay, so now you are going to study just the structure, and later you will study how the cells will differentiate from the beginning to form the microsporangium, and then these different type of layers. Okay, so first the androecium, the microsporangiums, the typical microsporangium is near circular in outline. So if you see it is circular in outline. It is surrounded by 4 layers. Okay, so it is surrounded by 4 layers. So what are these 4 layers? Epidermis, endothecium, middle layers, and then tapetum. So you can see there is epidermis, outer layer, then endothecium, and then there are middle layers, and then the tapetum. So if you just, so what is this layer? they are the outer layers. So if you just take the zoom this section of the microsporangium, so you can categorize these layers. So what are these layers? These are epidermis, endothecium, middle layers and tapetum. The outer three layers give protection. Okay, so the outer three layers, you can see, they give the protection. The outer three layers, they give the protection, whereas inner layer, that is tapetum, it nourishes the growing or developing pollen. Okay, so it helps in nourishment of the developing pollen. So this you have to know. So in your board they may ask what are the function of the the tapetum, or what are the function of these three layers. So you should know what are their function. So the tapetum, which is the innermost layer, it nourishes the developing pollen grains. Cells of the tapetum, they consist of the dense cytoplasm, okay, and generally have more than one nucleus. So why they are having more than one nucleus? So the tapetum, the cells, they will undergo mitotic division. Okay, they will undergo, when they undergo division, and the nucleus is divided, and when the nucleus is divided, the cytokinesis also should occur. But here the cytokinesis, that means division of the cytoplasm and formation of another layer to separate the two cells, that won't occur here. So what is happening? The tapetal cell, okay, so it is dividing, but after division, the cytokinesis, or the layer which forms, okay, nuclear layer which divides the two cells, it is not occurring. Okay, so what it is, without the formation of cytokinesis, a single cell is only remaining, and this cell appear to be having more than one nucleus, because it is not completely, the cytokinesis especially, it is not occurring. So that is why the tapetum cells, so they generally have more than one nucleus. In younger anther, so in the younger anther, each microsporangium has sporogenous tissue at the center. It consists of compactly arranged homogeneous diploid cells. So you can see that in each microsporangium, so this is one microsporangium, right? So here you can see this is one microsporangium, this is one microsporangium. At the center of each microsporangium, there are the cells, the sporogenous cells we call it as, which are homogeneous. Why homogeneous? These cells are not yet divided, or they are not yet differentiated. They are dividing, but they are not yet differentiated. So cells will differentiate when they get a, so when they develop and when they will get differentiated, they will become tissues of specific function. So here the homogeneous cells are present. Okay, so there is a homogeneous diploid cells which are yet to develop. So these we call it as sporogenous cells. Okay, so it consisting of, at the center of the each microsporangium, there is a sporogenous tissue that develops. Okay, I hope you understood why the tapetum cells contain the more than one nucleus, and sporogenous tissue, it is present at the center and it is diploid. So here we come to an important topic, is microsporogenesis. So how the microsporogenesis occurs and what is microsporogenesis? As the anther develops, so as we said, now before developing, in the initial stage, what is anther is having? So anther is having the sporogenous tissue at the center, and there it is dividing into microsporangia, where two microsporangia, okay, are present in each lobe. So anther is dithecae, it is having two theca, right? So it is a dithecae, it is having 4 microsporangia, and then the And then the sporogenous cells are present at the center of the each microsporangia. So when the microsporangia, it will develop when the anther, and also the all the anther, when the anther will develop, each sporogenous cell which I said which is present at the center, each sporogenous cell, microspore or the pollen mother cell, so it will develop as a pollen mother cell, and it undergoes meiotic division to form the microspore tetrads. And what are microspore tetrads? Microspores arranged in the cluster of 4 cells, we call it as microspore tetrads, and then they will get separated. The formation of microspores from the pollen mother cell through the meiosis, we call it as microsporogenesis. So that we will study in detail through this diagram. So here you can see the pollen sacs are formed by the microsporangia, right? So there is epidermis and all the 4 layers, tapetum, everything is present. So there are pollen mother cells from the sporogenous tissue that we studied, which will be present at the center of each microsporangia. So that will differentiate and develop into pollen mother cell, so which is diploid, with diploid meaning 2n in number, that is 2 times the number of chromosome, that means 2 copies of chromosomes are present, and it undergoes meiosis. So what is meiosis? So meiosis is the division where if it starts from 2n, it will give, if it is 2n, we call it as diploid. Okay, so it will give rise to the haploid cells having n number of chromosome. That means only one copy, one set of the chromosome will be there. So diploid meaning 2 sets of chromosomes. Diploid means 2 sets of chromosome, 2n, and haploid means only one set of chromosomes. So meiotic division it will undergo. So now the pollen mother cell, which is diploid, which is having 2n number of chromosomes, so it will undergo meiosis and it will produce the tetrad pollen. So where the cells are attached together, and then they will separate to form the pollen grains. Okay, so the microsporogenesis is nothing but the formation of the microspores or the pollen grains from the pollen mother cell is through the process of meiosis. We call it as microsporogenesis. Okay, so microsporogenesis, this is very important. You will study megasporogenesis also, so then you will get confused. So you have to be clear in this topic. Okay, so as now we saw how the pollen grains are formed. Pollen grains are formed by the pollen mother cell, which divides meiotically. Okay, so that we have seen. So as the anther it matures and dehydrate the microspore, dissociate from each other and develop into pollen grains. I have shown you that also. So when the pollen grains will be in the tetrad form and they will dehydrate and they will form the pollen grains, right? So anthers, when they mature, the microspores, they dissociate from the each other. So why the dehydration is important? So when the anther it is mature, it will get mature, so it has to release the pollen grains. No, so to release the pollen grains, the dehydration is important. So endothelium layer or endothelium layer, it will absorb the water during the development and later it has to dehydrate. When it dehydrates, that means it is releasing the water. In that process, the anther, it will go dehiscence. We call it as anther dehiscence, where it has to burst and it has to release the pollen grains. So as the anther mature, it dehydrates and the microspore dissociate from each other and pollen to develop the pollen grains, to develop into pollen grains, and the pollen grains which are already developed, they will release. Each microsporangium contains, obviously, so the each microsporangium, it contains more thousands of the pollen grains. Okay, and it releases with the dehiscence of the anther. So now we studied how the sporogenous tissue is formed and how the protective layer, three layers, the middle, the epidermis, the endothelium, the middle layers and the tapetum, which will give nourishment to the developing pollen grain, and now the pollen grain will develop from the sporogenous tissue, from the pollen mother cell, through the process of meiotic, and then it will produce the pollen grains. Okay, so after the pollen grains, it is nothing but male gametophyte. See, male gametophyte and female gametophyte. If you think male gametophyte is pollen grain, and suddenly if anybody asks what might be the female gametophyte, and you will tell that female gametophyte will be egg or ovule, but it is wrong. In case of females it is wrong, that means in case of female flower it is wrong, and in case of male flower or androecium it is different. So be careful about male gametophyte and male pollen grain, what it is called. So every terms you have to remember. So androecium, which is so we will study pollen grain, which we call it as male gametophyte. So in androecium, pollen grain is a male gametophyte which is generally spherical and 25 to 50 mm in diameter. Cytoplasm is surrounded by a plasma membrane as usual in every cell. A pollen grain, it is having two-layered wall, that is exine, which is outer layer, and intine, which is inner layer, that you can see. Okay, so pollen grain, it can be divided into exine. Okay, so exine, which is the outer layer, and intine, which is the inner layer here. Okay, so we will come to the different parts of the pollen grain we will study, and this is a very important topic when we come to the point of board as well as the need. So what is exine, what it consists of, and there are many different types of questions that can be asked from this part, and even the diagram is also very important. So exine is nothing but the hard outer layer made up of sporopollenin. So you have to remember this. Sporopollenin is the highly resistant organic material that the exine, the outer cover, consists of. Exine or the outer layer, it also consists of cutin and sporopollenin. Okay, but most of the time sporopollenin is asked because of its very unique features. So it is highly resistant organic material, so it can withstand high temperature and strong acids and alkali, and even the enzymes cannot degrade sporopollenin. So if you consider, sometimes it is said that even the fossilization, okay, that also does not occur for the pollen grains because of presence of the sporopollenin, this material in the exine region of the pollen grain. So as we know, when any organism, when it dies, it has to decay. Okay, so it will turn into a fossil, right? So but the anthers will not undergo fossilization. So because any organic material, so fossilization occurs through the bacterial activity, and there are many organic degradation that will takes place, that will turn into the degradation of an organism, right? But the pollen grains, because they are having this very unique sporopollenin which is highly resistant, even the fossilization does not occur. So exine has aperture called germ spore where sporopollenin is absent. So you might be asking, so if it is covered with such a very hard whatever material, then how the pollen grain, it will transfer the genetic material and all things. So there is a solution for that also. So the pollen grain, it is consisting of the germ pore that you can see here. So it is having the germ pore where the sporopollenin is absent. So pollen grains are preserved as fossils due to the presence of sporopollenin. So exine exhibits patterns and designs. So exines are having, so different species will have different kinds of patterns. So outside, because it is the outer layer, so many species will have many different kinds of patterns. So here you can see thickening of the cellulose is there. You can see the exine part. There is a generative cell. Okay, so there is a vegetative cell. Here it is the generative cell, and here the big one is vegetative cell. So the inside the cytoplasm of the vegetative cell, the generative cell is present, and you can see the different types of the pollen grains. Okay, so you can see the outer, because of the different shape of the exine, so outer covering, the different shape of the pollen grains you can see. You have to remember pollen grain, it is consisting of exine, which is having sporopollenin, which is highly resistant organic material, and only the place in the exine where the sporopollenin is absent is germ spores. So the next, or the internal layer, inner wall, is the intine. So it is thin continuous layer made up of cellulose and pectin. So this is very important. So you have to remember the composition of exine as well as intine. So exine was consisting of sporopollenin, as well as sometimes they may give cutin. So cutin and sporopollenin, and intine is consisting of cellulose and pectin. So the pollen grain, which is male gametophyte, so it is consisting of vegetative cell and generative cell. So vegetative cell is bigger, has abundant food reserve and a large irregularly shaped nucleus. And generative cell, it is the small and floats in the cytoplasm of the vegetative cell. It is spindle shaped with the dense cytoplasm and nucleus. So see here you can see. So if you consider it is a pollen grain, this is a pollen grain, and the vegetative cell. So here you can see this is the vegetative cell, and where the generative cell is present, generative cell, it is present here. Okay, so that means inside the cytoplasm of the vegetative cell, the generative cell is present. Here you can see the vegetative cell, which is present, and it is having the nucleus, and here it is a cytoplasm, and there is a generative cell which is spindle like structure. There the generative cell is present. So a mature pollen grain, it consists of two cells, vegetative cell which is bigger and it is abundant food reserve, and a large irregularly shaped nucleus is present, and generative cell is a small and it floats in the cytoplasm of the vegetative cell, and it is spindle shaped with a dense cytoplasm and a nucleus. So, over 60% of angiosperms shed their pollen grains at two-celled stage. That means in this stage where vegetative and generative cell, two-celled stages, the over 60% of angiosperms will shed. In other, generative cell divides in others, the generative cell divides mitotically to give two male gametes. Thus, pollen grains are shed at three-celled stage. So, in others, in some of the other species where the generative cell which is present, it will divide mitotically. So, mitotic division means it is a simple, like a simple division, so where there will be a three cell stage. So here it is, here the generative cell and vegetative cell again, the whole cell is vegetative cell. So here the three celled stages, in some organisms the three celled stage will, they will generate. Next, pollen grain. Yes, male gametophyte. The other things that you have to know is the shed pollen grains have to land on the stigma before they lose viability. That means before they lose the potential to fertilize. So before they, so different species are having different times and different viability. Some species, some pollen grains of some flowers of some plants, they will have the longer viability. That means they can they will have months together. They, even though they will have time to go and land on the stigma, and then they can fertilize. But some species, the pollen grains will not have the longer viability. So the shed pollen grains have to land on the stigma before they lose their viability. The viability period of pollen grain is variable. It depends on temperature and humidity. So viability of pollen grains of some cereals like rice, water, etc., rice, wheat, etc., it is only 30 minutes. And some members of Leguminosae, Rosaceae, so in such organisms, Solanaceae, such organisms have viability for months. Okay, see, there are different viabilities of the pollen grains. If they do not fertilize and if they do not land on the stigma within that viability period, then they will lose their viability. And you can see the beauty. So you can see how different shape and how unique the pollen grains will be present. So economic importance of pollen grains. This is also a very important question asked in many your competitive exams as well as in your boards. So these are rich in nutrients. Pollen tablets are used as a food supplements. Pollen tablets and syrups increase performance of athletes and racehorses. So they are used as a tablets for consumption, and they are stored in for years in the liquid nitrogen -196 degree. They are used as pollen banks in the crop breeding programs. As we have seen that the semen, it is also stored. Okay, that also can be preserved. There are many grains and many of the materials of the plant, they can be stored. Okay, so like that, even the pollen grains, since they are having the very strong sporopollenin, okay, covering, so that made the scientist so that discover that even they can be stored, okay, for the longer time. Okay, so they are used as a pollen banks in the crop breeding program. So what is breeding? So artificial mode of the fertilization, where so in such kind of programs the pollen grains are needed. Different types of pollen grains, they are stored and they are taken use in the cross breeding programs. Pollen grains of the some plants, example carrot grass, Parthenium we call it, so are allergic for some people, and it leads to chronic respiratory disorders, asthma, bronchitis. So since they are very sometimes they are allergic also, so they may lead to the respiratory disorders also. So next is gynoecium. So this is about the androecium. So you have to know what are the economic importance. So pollen grain is a male gametophyte, and it is having the so when it is two-celled, and how it becomes three-celled stage. So what are the two types of cells that are present in the pollen grain, and everything that is very important. So this topic is very important from the exam point of view, and I hope you understood this topic. And if you like this video, please hit the like button, share, and please subscribe the channel if you have not subscribed. And thank you so much.